But 60 years ago, Tysons was just a rural crossroads with a country store.
As World War II ended, it was a land of dairy farms and truck farms and abandoned farms, and relatively little development, and it was wide open. The government then, the political leaders then, the business leaders were all in favor of doing what was necessary to accommodate the growth that was coming.
And for growth to happen, what developers needed was infrastructure, sewers and roads, and especially a highway around Washington, D.C. called the Beltway.
When you put the Beltway at exactly the location it was, which created about 1,800 acres, in the center of those, in the convergence of those roads, you had a fabulous development site.
With taxpayers footing the bill for infrastructure, Tysons became a transportation hub, a commercial center, and a multi-billion-dollar bonanza for developers.
The basic approach of most land speculators who are the site developers is to buy a piece of land that's farmland and is zoned as farmland, taxed as farmland.
So it's cheap.
It's cheap. And then get it replanned and rezoned as subdivision with some retail and commercial components. And the land value will go up dramatically.
So the formula is buy land cheap from farmers, get the county and the state to put in the roads, the sewers, the schools, all the stuff that makes it attractive,
Yep.
and then turn around and sell it for commercial or residential at 30, 40 times the cost.
That's correct.
The formula worked like magic for Tysons. Over the next 45 years, it became one of America's largest commercial developments and most successful retail centers. Now, 120,000 people work at Tysons every day.
Tysons is the size of downtown Boston or Phoenix. There is nothing in this country of the scale and size and complexity of a Tysons.
Tysons Corner is one of the most successful office centers in the country, one of the most successful retail centers in the country, and the combination of those two factors make it the economic engine for Fairfax County and really Northern Virginia.
An economic engine driven by America's love affair with the automobile.
In Tysons Corner, you drive in for breakfast and you get in your car and you drive to your first meeting, then you drive to the next meeting, and then, you know, if I have to take some checks to the bank, even though it's for a good golfer, barely a long 9-iron, you got to get back in your car and drive that. There's no way in Tysons Corners that anybody gets around without a car.
The car built Tysons. It also built gridlock that is now strangling Tysons.
We're about halfway through the afternoon rush hour, maybe.
Almost no one lives here. Practically everyone commutes.
Extremely heavy traffic that extends way beyond the Beltway. And
the highway system is choked, and we can't sustain the model of sprawl in support of the economic engine that has happened over the last 20 years. So,
can't sustain the model. You mean Tysons Corner sort of reached the limit?
Tysons Corners is about as built out as it can be if dependent on the automobile, because it exacerbates what's already a complicated but troubling environmental future.
Environmentalists call Tysons a nightmare for the Potomac River and Chesapeake Bay. It's a fortress of impervious surfaces.
If you look at Tysons, and there is now today, as we're sitting here today, there's about 46 million square feet of development in Tysons. In addition to that, there is 40 million square feet of parking.
40 million
square feet of parking. So the amount of development and the amount of parking is about equal. And that translates into close to 170,000 parking spaces. And when we talk about impervious surfaces, I mean, that's just unbelievable.
When you put down this endless amount of concrete parking lots and rooftops, rain hits it, it washes really quickly into the streams. It's going to cut away at those stream banks. It's going to pick up sediment. It's going to be carrying all kinds of pollutants in it. It's going to go flying down into the Potomac, and the Potomac feeds into the Chesapeake Bay. And everything starts in these little streams. So every time you lose a little stream, you lose one more healthy piece of the Chesapeake Bay ecosystem.
What many see as the ecological disaster of Tysons epitomizes the collision of development and clean water nationwide. More than 3/4 of Americans live on or near our waterways. The plague of Tyson-style sprawl has recently threatened neighboring Loudoun County. But here in Loudoun, environmental leaders fashioned a new tactic to counter aggressive development and to protect Chesapeake Bay.
Getting up in front of a crowd and saying the bay is in tough shape and the pollution's getting worse and we've got to change our lifestyles to save it really doesn't get you anywhere. But you can get people to do the things that we need to do to save the bay if we can frame them in ways that correspond to what they really care about.
In Loudoun, what people care most about is traffic and taxes. Two issues the environmentalists leveraged to launch a political campaign against developers in 2006.
How do big developers plan to deal with our traffic problems? They want to build more homes and apartments in our area, 33,000 more. That'll mean thousands of more cars and more traffic. Loudoun County.
Tapping into local concerns, citizen activists organized to carry the fight.
It resonated a lot with residents when we spoke about transportation issues, when we spoke about tax increases that would occur, and when we spoke about schools, how our children would constantly have to change boundaries.
I think a lot of us got involved just for the whole quality of life issue. It went from the 33,000 homes meant an additional 300,000 car trips on the local roads. It meant higher taxes, the schools that had to be built, the roads that needed to be built. It was suburbanizing an area that was never meant to be suburbanized.
Did all this public outpouring of outrage stop or slow down this aggressive growth?
The public response was so overwhelming that even a board of supervisors that was elected with the support of the development community ended up turning down the proposals that the board, had submitted in the first place.
So they backed off totally.
They backed off totally, and then in the election that immediately followed that decision to back off, they all lost. Every one of those candidates was voted out of office.
They got wiped out?
They got wiped out.
That victory in Loudoun underscored that land use is a key to protecting the environment. I mean, people talk about saving Chesapeake Bay, and you get organizations that are talking about, let's have a campaign bay-wide. But listening to you, the nuts and bolts of this thing sounds as though they have to be fought out on the local basis, county by county.
I think the conservation movement has to move away from wholesale ideas to retailing what we're talking about. Things that people deal with every day, traffic, schools, the lack of access to the kinds of parks and open space that people want on a day-to-day basis, rising taxes to pay for the costs that developers weren't paying for.
And the Bay is going to benefit, but it's not the opening argument.
It's all about making the protection of the Bay a retail issue. What we need to market is the solutions and market it in a way that people will embrace them, not market the problem.